Hello, everybody. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, depending on where you are joining from. My name is Carissa Bowen, and I'll be your moderator for today's session at the YouthMADE panel, the YouthMADE Festival, Ciena Solutions Challenge student panel discussion, and we will be hearing from teams from Brazil, Colombia, India, and the United States. So, welcome everybody. And here is how we will spend our time today. Because we are at the Youth Made Festival, this is an inclusive celebration where you, as participants, youth creators, you're able to showcase your talent and your content and things that you really care about. And so, what better way to introduce ourselves than to share what our names are, where we're located from, and maybe share something that you're currently celebrating. This could be something in your community, something in your personal life, maybe at school. It could be anything. So feel free to let us know more about yourself. And yeah, we love to hear from you. So if you are new here, in terms of our attendees, if you're new here and you're just hearing about the Sienna Solutions Challenge, I'll tell you a little bit of information about what the challenge is about. So, since launching in 2021, more than 1,200 educators from schools and youth organizations across 103 countries have engaged with the Sienna Solutions Challenge. The challenge is a global design challenge by Digital Promise and Sienna that invites middle and high school students globally to use challenge-based learning to ideally design solutions to issues or community issues that students really care about. And so the solution addresses the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals within their communities. And so today, and for the last few weeks, really, we have been so excited to celebrate the 2026 Ciena Solutions Challenge Sustainability Awardees and those that have participated in the challenge. If you have some time, you're welcome to check out Ciena Solutions, sienachallenge.org, and you can check out the project gallery where you can view these projects in addition to the other projects that have been awarded or submitted to the challenge. So meet today's student teams. We will be hearing from, again, Team Brazil. We have a student team based out of Colombia, India, and the United States, specifically California. We also have a special guest from Siena. We have Meg Ryan, who will be joining us today as our special guest and special co-host. Meg, along with other Siena volunteers, were very instrumental in the selection process of our awardees. And so we really wanted to start by thanking Siena and thank you to the volunteers who have joined, maybe in the audience today that have participated in the challenge. And we really appreciate your insight and your just your time that you've offered to these students. So, Meg, I'll give you a few minutes to share a little bit more about you.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining today. My name is Meg Ryan. I live in Chicago in the United States, and my role here at Siena is to oversee our environmental sustainability programming. So, what that means is I get to work with all of our locations and address things like energy usage, water usage, waste reduction. And I also get to work with our engineers and designers who build hardware and really work with them to figure out how can we reduce the energy needed to run that hardware, how can we make things more circular and bring equipment back to us to reduce waste, and work with a lot of our manufacturers to really address their use of energy and waste in their emissions as well. So really just passionate about the environment and climate change, and I saw that topic come up a lot in the work that you all did here. Some things I like to do, I really enjoy hiking. There's a picture of me next to a mountain. I enjoy yoga and painting and really just excited to get to hear from you guys today. Most of all, I want to say I was incredibly inspired by the hard work that you all put in and really just your awareness of the different solutions that you can come up with in your community. And one thing I'll say is also, I really appreciate that you guys are all becoming part of the solution. I know that some of these problems seem very big, but it's incredibly inspiring to see that you are working towards making it all right. And really, it takes your generation as well as my generations to work towards solutions. So well done, everyone. I was deeply impressed with the projects I got to see, and I'm excited to hear more.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Meg. We're so happy you're here, and we also appreciate you and, all of the great partnership that we've had with Ciena. So I'm actually gonna stop sharing for a second just to get my bearings. So let me see. Let me make sure that we have. Okay. Can everyone see my screen? All right, awesome. So, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and pass it over to our team from Brazil. They are going to be talking a little bit about restoring the treasures of the Amazon. So that's what their project was about. And their educator, Enrique Lima, is also here, but we can't wait to hear from these students. And I believe that they have already sent me their slides. So let me just move my screen over. Okay.
Carissa, you should be able to go through the presentation if you want.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's
Awesome.
already in the presentation. Yes.
Great. Perfect. Thank you.
Oh, you may have to refresh it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Refresh really quickly. Thank you. All right, I'll go ahead and present. Okay, team from Brazil, feel free to take it away.
Can you hear us?
Yes, we can hear you now.
So, hi everyone, we're from Brazil. My name is Nina. This is Thiago Souza and João Macedo, and we are part of the Igarapé projects. But first, what means Igarapé? Igarapé is a small body of water that crosses the Manaus city in the Amazonas. And he'll go to that. And they are really important due to the history and the economy of the city. But nowadays they are polluted. And the core of the project is to understand how the Manaus igarapés are affected by the pollution, identify the main points of the interest, and solve the local pollution problem through a simple and accessible means. And by that, we use the Pisces Stratiotis, that is the lettuce water.
Can you pass to the next slide, please? So, Pisces stratiotis is the scientific name for water lettuce. It's a very common and accessible plant here, especially in the northern region of Brazil, in the Amazonian forest. So, basically, we've proven we will show in the next slide some statistics to prove it, how the water lettuce can be very useful, especially because of its bioremediation capability. It can extract heavy metals, improve the water turbidity. You will see the clear difference in the next slide, and it basically can take a very harmed environment and take it back to its original purpose. It can basically restore the ecosystem to its original state without the pollution. And the project intends especially to further develop it and see if we can extend its usage not only to igarapés but to other rivers in Amazonas, because we are especially focusing in igarapés because many of them pass through Manaus, but in the whole region we basically have an abundance of rivers that are very important, including obviously the Amazonian River, which is the most valuable river in the whole world.
Hi, could you pass it to the next slide? Last slide, please. So, hi, I'm João, and as Thiago said, the results are clear. I mean, the water is clear. And down we also have a table that shows us how was the difference between those two samples. Um, and in the future, we hope to uh, include more variables in those in that table so we can prove in more ways that the water lettuce is very effective. And we also hope to create a module that makes it more viable to plant the water lettuce and stop it and contain it from becoming a possible plague in the environment, which would be a very good completion to the project and would make it very viable. And that's our presentation. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that great presentation. If you have any questions from the audience or other teams, if you have any questions for Team Brazil, please feel free to jump in the chat box and share your question, and then we'll come back to it towards the end of the call today. So we'll move on to our team from Colombia, Coffee Revolution, and we have their educator, Ramon, who's also supporting Tomas. So, Tomas, feel free to take it away.
Okay, hello everyone. I hope you are well. I'm going to make my presentation in Spanish. I'm not good at speaking English, so I'm sorry to all for this. I'm going to start. Any question you have, you can make me, and I don't know if I translate the question or something like that. Okay, I'm going to start. Thanks so much. Bueno, primero que todo, hola a todos, espero que se encuentren muy bien. Antes de todo, quiero contextualizarlos. Bienvenidos a Pitalito Huila, Colombia, el mayor productor de café a nivel nacional. Cuenta con más de 21.000 hectáreas de café y con más de 60 tiendas cafeteras, que en total pueden llegar a producir unos 600 kilos de residuo de café, más específicamente de borra de café, que es lo que queda después de prepararse el tinto. Estos residuos, normalmente uno no se preocupa por cuánto se produce, sino en qué pasa con estos residuos después de ser producidos. And I don't know if you can, the next, thanks so much. Y es que estos residuos, cuando se desechan sin ningún tipo de gestión, tienden a tener un problema muy grave y es que sufren un proceso de descomposición anaeróbica. ¿Qué implica esto? Que produzca gases de efecto invernadero como lo es el metano, que es 25 veces más contaminante que el dióxido de carbono. Next slide, please. Por esto, desde Café Lab Colombia, queremos crear un proyecto que permita reutilizar todos estos residuos del café y poder crear algo que en vez de contaminar, cree. Y nos preguntamos en ese mismo instante cómo podemos reducir las emisiones de metano generado por los residuos del café para transformar esos residuos en algo mucho más útil, en algo que nos permita crear algo en vez de algo que contamine. Y ahí nace Coffee Revolution, un proyecto que busca pasar desde la contaminación hacia el color. Y todo empieza mediante tres principales pasos. Next slide, please. Thanks so much. Y empezamos y creamos toda la iniciativa mediante tres pasos. Primero, iniciamos con el tema de la inmersión donde empezamos a ver si realmente existe un problema, porque es primordial saber si realmente nuestra solución tiene un problema, porque no podemos crear algo sin tener un problema inicialmente. Después pasamos a la transferencia, una etapa en la que empezamos a crear el crayón, un crayón 100% biodegradable y ecológico que se creó a partir de pigmentos naturales y de los residuos del café, en específico la borra. Y por último, la comunicación, donde compartimos el proyecto en lugares como este, en las redes sociales y empezamos a utilizar nuestros crayoles con los niños más pequeños de nuestro colegio. Sigue, next slide. Ah, no. Wait. Sorry. Bueno, durante este proceso aprendimos que el proceso cafetero no termina simplemente cuando llega el residuo, sino que tenemos la posibilidad de con creatividad, imaginación y trabajo en equipo transformar todos estos residuos en algo útil. En este caso, algo tan simple como una crayola, perdón, algo que nos permite precisamente disminuir la contaminación utilizando nuestra creatividad, mientras también desarrollamos competencias tanto blandas y específicas, como trabajar en equipo, como saber comunicarse en estos espacios así. Nosotros queremos que esta crayola pueda ser utilizada por más personas aparte del colegio. Entonces, que en otro colegio puedan utilizar esta crayola a partir del problema de ellos. Porque también hay que tener eso en cuenta. Hay que contextualizar la crayola dependiendo del problema que ellos tengan. Aparte de eso, queremos mejorar el diseño de nuestra crayola. Queremos sacar nuevos colores, nuevos pigmentos y que sea una solución viable para todas las tiendas cafeteras de nuestra región, que ellos tengan su producto y digan, yo se lo voy a pasar a este colegio para que puedan transformarlo y crear algo que realmente está siendo útil para, para nuestra sociedad, ¿no? Entonces, esto es Coffee Revolution. Muchas gracias por su atención. Perdón si no me entendieron y cualquier pregunta, ahí estamos para contestarla. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Tomas. Gracias. That was great. We can't wait to hear more about your project in our student discussion. Thank you so much. If you have any questions for our team in Colombia, please share your questions in the chat box. Now we have our team from India. Their project was around lake water risk. And Rukhasana, their educator, is supporting them. So if we have any members from the team from India on, you are welcome to begin your presentation. Let's see, we have a few people on. So if any of you want to come off mute, you are welcome to start your presentation. And if you're not ready yet, we can always come back to you. Let's see. Padma, I see you're in the chat box. Let me see if I can move you over as a panelist, and then you'll have privileges to speak. I'll move you over, and then you should be able to unmute yourself.
Hello. Good morning, everyone.
Hi, Padma.
I was hoping the team would be here. So I am dual representation here. I'm actually
Padma, we have a few. I think Rukhasana is on.
Oh, Rukhasana is on. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
I just don't see that I see that they're muted. So if they want to jump off mute, they're welcome to. Then maybe Sudam, you might be I'll promote you to panelist because if you're a part of the team,
He's the
then
principal. Sudam is
Oh,
the
okay.
principal of the school, SSPS.
Okay.
Yeah, I just finished one sentence. Hopefully they'll join.
Okay.
I'm actually Ciena employee, and I'm also founder of ICAM nonprofit organization who works with many schools in India and colleges, mainly in a rural area. And our mission, ICAM mission, and this digital promise, the Ciena Solutions Challenge, totally aligned, and this is very excited to showcase the one of the teams. There were many teams who participated, and this team has received the sustainability award, and they took the lake water. Rukhsana, Sudam, I prefer you guys talk, and I believe there were 2 students in the panel. Students, I
Yeah,
don't
it
know
looks like
the
we have
name.
about Oh, perfect.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello, everyone.
Hi,
Hello.
that is the student. She's not Rukhsana.
Yes. Hello,
Hi.
everyone. Myself, Ritika. I am from Sharada Public School, Anigiri. And myself, Ritika. We are from Sharada Public School in Karnataka, India. We are working to bring safe drinking water to the people of Hallikiri village in the Anigiri sub-district. Now we are in our holidays. That's why we are attending this webinar from our home. We learned about our water shortages and we understood the health risks associated with through interviewing villages and understood importance of clean water, motivated to create awareness and responsibility. And we encourage them to use water filter.
Can you move to the next slide? She's already speaking about what. Yeah. Good.
As As a team, we learned even as a student, we can make a difference towards our community problems.
Oh, their voice.
We enjoyed journey of testing showed contamination. Importantly, this project will not only benefit current village but also create a sustainable culture of safe water practices for future generations. By educating families today, we reduce waterborne diseases and improve overall community health. Although villages have access to water, this single facility is insufficient, leading to long waits and tiring collection. If our team receives this award, we want to implement projects to provide safe water and eventually supply drinking water directly to homes. And we saw that many families in Halikiris were dependent on lake water for drinking and cooking. And when we talked to the villagers, they said that most of the people were drinking untreated lake water. And they said that by that water they will suffer from diseases such as diarrhea and typhoid. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, team from India. That was great. We look forward to hearing more in our student discussions. So if you have any questions for any of the team from India, please share them in the chat box and we will come back to them. And for our final presentation today, we have our team from California in the United States. We have the Space and Sea, our Final Frontiers, and the Ocean, our Final Frontier team from Davis Middle School, and their educator, Jose, is on. So I will pass it over to our team from the United States.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth, and the ISS Davis represents the next step in our aquaponic research, binding on earlier projects such as the aqua truck and the aquaponic ship. In addition to advancing sustainable systems, this project can also help support future missions to Jupiter's moon, Europa. We have also collaborated with the students from Military School of Manaus, Brazil, who explained the water lettuce and introduced us to new ideas that contribute to new scientific and environment advancements. And change the slide. Next slide.
Hello, my name is Brando, and I was in charge of the design. For the design of our ship, we took inspiration from the project Hyperion, the winner of a Starship design competition, to make our space shuttle. The ship is designed to carry 90 people over 5 years to the destination and back. There's different sections of the ship, like the gravity wheel, aquaponics, and hydroponics. Due to the crew experiencing no gravity, the ship has a gravity wheel to reduce the harmful effects of being in space for too long. There are different laboratories and engineering rooms that can be used for research and repair.
Hello, my name is Caleb, and I was in charge of most of the wiring of the ship. To make our ship as realistic as possible, we added multiple features that are seen on an actual spaceship. Using Arduino and a microbit, two small programmable boards, we simulated multiple components that are seen on an actual spaceship. One example are the LEDs that are seen at the front of the ship that act as navigation lights. We also used another soundboard to make sounds heard on the ship, and 3 RGB lights to make the engines appear to be working.
Oh. Hello, I'm Milton Mosqueda, and I was in charge of making the Nuclear Thermal Propulsion System, or NTP for short. An NTP system is an advanced rocket engine that uses a nuclear reactor to heat hydrogen fuel and create thrust. This will allow us to get to Jupiter's moon in a more safer and sustainable way.
Okay. Hi, my name is Makayla, and I am a part of the ROV team. My job was to design and build our ROVs, which stands for Remotely Operated Vehicle. These robotic submarines will be used to do scientific research on Europa.
Hello, my name is Valentino. We learned a lot of lessons during our project. One thing we did learn about was atrophy. Atrophy can be very life-threatening, and astronauts need to take several counteractive measures. So our solution to that was a thing called a gravity wheel, which would act as like a supplemental aid to other counteractive measures. Oh yeah, but before I forget, we're excited as in I think in June. Yeah, in June, we are going to be visiting the Kennedy Space Center, and we're going to be seeing real life spaceships, which is very exciting.
Very awesome. That was awesome, team from California. Thank you so much for your presentation. If you have any questions for our team in California and the United States, please share them in the chat box. It looks like we have a few questions that have come in, so please continue to add them, and myself and Jess will be able to voice them over during our Q&A section. So now this is the portion of our webinar where we will be doing having a student discussion. And so we have Meg Ryan here, who's joining us from Ciena and had a really big part in selecting or helping us to select our awardees that are here with us today. And so Meg, I'll let you take away the first question if you want to give everyone some context, and yeah, we can start here.
Yeah, so a bit of context. I'm really curious about how your teams landed on the solutions that you built. So this question is really about what kind of research did you do when you were trying to solve problems or create new systems? And then who did you talk to? Who did you learn from when you were brainstorming? Did any of your ideas change the outcome? So really, where did you learn from and who did you talk to? I think we'll start with those.
Thanks, Meg. And students, if you have a response to that, feel free to come off mute. I'm actually going to stop sharing so we could see each other more. And if you want to see the question again, it should be in the chat box. So what research did you do and who did you talk to brainstorm about your solutions? Any responses? Okay.
So in our past 2 years, we've been also working on different solutions to solve different solutions sustainably. And we were thinking on how to expand that into different regions. First we did land, then we did sea, and now we're doing space. So now we research on how we can make space travel sustainable. And we discussed this with our teacher or professor, Ms. Gonzalez, in order to figure out how we can make this.
That's great. Thank you, Brando.
Thanks, Brando. That's great. Yeah, I think it's always good to go to our teachers, and they're very knowledgeable and a great place to go. And of course, also research on the internet, I'm sure was used, and exploring different solutions. Really, really creative stuff. Great job, guys.
Tomas, I see you have your hand raised.
Well, I don't know if I can respond in Spanish too. Yeah, thanks so much. And sorry. Bueno, pues es importante empezar hablando que nosotros hay que contextualizarnos primeramente y pues vivimos en una región cafetera, netamente cafetera, como el Hospitalito Huila. El problema de café se ve mucho en nuestra región y nosotros podemos ir yendo por las fincas cafeteras y vemos como, por ejemplo, un cafetero o un caficultor después de tener todo el proceso del café, bota todos los residuos al agua, a las quebradas de alrededor, las coloca en una montaña, en una pila de basura en su finca y no le da la suficiente gestión como para que tenga un buen proceso, ¿no? Y que tenga, por ejemplo, un buen proceso de degradación para que se descomponga de forma correcta en el medio ambiente y así sucesivamente. Entonces nosotros empezamos las investigaciones viendo si realmente hay un problema y vamos a investigar directamente con los caficultores, que ellos nos cuenten qué hacen con sus residuos, qué hacen con la borra, todo ese tema, ¿no? para poder contextualizarnos y saber si realmente necesitamos una solución. Con quién realmente hablamos todos esos temas fue con los estudiantes como tal, ¿no? Porque fueron los estudiantes los que de forma autónoma decidieron ir a empezar a conocer realmente qué estaba pasando y empezar a dar soluciones respecto al tema. Después de ello, empezamos a hablarlo con los profesores y ya el profesor nos empezó a impulsar. Y entonces nos da temas en la clase que pudiéramos utilizar dentro de nuestro proyecto y empezábamos a conectar las clases como tal con un proyecto extracurricular que nos permitía crear una solución a un problema que realmente existía. Ese fue el proceso como tal. Después empezamos obviamente a investigar cómo se hacían los pigmentos, cómo podíamos hacer el tema de la crayola, cómo podíamos hacer el molde y poco a poco ahí fuimos avanzando. Pero pues empezó la base desde reconocer y salir a observar realmente cuál era el problema en nuestro entorno. Salir y llegar al campo para realmente mirar qué es lo que estaba pasando. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Meg. I'm sorry, Tomas. I was looking at Meg's name. Um, Enrique, I see you guys have your hand raised. Feel free to jump in.
Here it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So basically, we came up with this project because it's basically something that most of us live every single day. I can speak for myself when I say that I live nearby. I got a pet that is very polluted, and it's a reality that is common to many of our friends in general. And it's the heart of the city. Many garapas go across the whole city, and they are basically points of interest in the whole city. And it's something that is actually very very sad to see. And basically coming up with the solution, it's actually pretty natural because we can see some places which are more sustainable. We can see when the water is clear, we can see when things are flowing naturally, and it is not harmed by the human action. So seeing that some other plants here in the Amazonian rainforest also have the same properties, we basically chose to study other plants, which in our case it's the water lettuce, which is even more common than some other plants that we have in here. And it's a very, can I say, heartwarming thing to do. Seeing how we can basically take something that is very common to us and use it to basically give it back to our community, which it is very sad to see in such a terrible state sometimes.
And for the research part, my sister, ela entrou em contato com uma professora da universidade dela, que ela é especializada nessa área de plantas aquáticas e de fitorremediação.
And she basically instructed us to basically take bigger steps. She knows much more than we do. So she just basically
She told us some specific properties of the plant we were working and how it was the best one in its species, in its genre, to serve the purpose we wanted it to serve. That's basically how we chose it.
Great. Well done, everyone. Great answers. I love learning from your family and learning from observation and seeing what works in nature. That's really great work.
Mm-hmm. A team from India, I think maybe we have a few folks that are on that might be able to respond to this question. Any research that you did or any folks that helped you with brainstorming? Feel free to come off mute or you can raise your hand.
Ma'am, we conducted research by studying the causes and effects of water pollution, especially in lakes and nearby water bodies. And we collected information from science articles, environmental websites, school textbooks, and local news reports related to the water contamination and to the waste disposal, and waterborne diseases. We observed nearby lakes and noted common issues like plastic waste, sewage discharge, and algae growth. To, to brainstorm solution, we discussed ideas with our science teacher, classmates, family members, and our facilitator. We talked about practical ways to reduce lake pollution such as water filtration system. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you guys. This is really fun to learn about your thought process and how you came to your solutions. And it's exciting to see this new generation of leaders coming up. I think you guys are all doing a great job of presenting and speaking to your ideas really intelligently, and I'm very impressed.
Definitely. I think maybe everyone on the call can probably agree that, research and brainstorming and talking to people in your community is something that doesn't stop here at the challenge. It continues in basically every facet of your life moving forward. So it's great that you guys are already so knowledgeable about the things that you've researched and what you have been able to do with it. Any other questions or any other responses to this question before we move on to the next? Caleb, go ahead.
So I just wanted to add that, and when doing our research, we also saw like a bit into like other types of projects, kind of. So Brando, I think, already said it a little bit when we were presenting. There was a starship design competition not too long ago, and in there we saw another spaceship that was called Project Hyperion, and I actually won that competition. And when we started to research it, we actually found out that it was kind of similar to what we were already planning. So we researched it, we analyzed how they like the different types of things that they had to do for it to start working. So like, for example, we also noticed that because of the like just the like general size of both the Project Hyperion that we took inspiration from and our own, it wouldn't be able to be built here on Earth because of how much the size, the environment, pollution that it may cause, and how it wouldn't even be able to take off from the planet due to its just size and weight. So we, just like Project Hyperion, we analyzed and researched how we were able to build it in space and not here on Earth. So that way it would just be taking trips to our goal Europa and Jupiter's moon and back, instead of landing and taking off like any other spaceship.
That is fascinating. I don't think I'd yet heard of a spaceship built in space. So that's a very cool concept.
That's awesome. Thank you, Caleb. Any other responses to this first question before we move on to the second one? Okay. So of course, this has been a long journey for some of you. I'm sure that you all have found different moments in your journeys, whether they were challenging or, something that may have come up that you didn't expect to be maybe a proud moment. And so we're curious to know from each of you, what was your proudest moment in your challenge journey? Because sometimes we can maybe get caught up in things that may have not went right, or it's something we planned and it didn't turn out the way we had thought it would. So is there anything that you all found to be like a proud moment for you in your challenge design journey? I see Enrique's team nodding their heads, so they look like they have something to share.
So basically, our proudest moment, right? So our proudest moment, it's kind of recent actually. We basically went directly to the Igara Pass that we chose. We chose basically two just for one day, and one of them is mostly related. The pollution is mostly related to domestic waste, and the other one is more related to industrial waste. And then we went there, and we ourselves basically picked up the samples of the water, and it was a very cool moment and kind of frightening because some of the spots that we collected water from had alligators because there's a very large concentration of many materials in where the industrial part of Manaus is. So some small some small groups of alligators basically concentrate there, and we basically picked up the samples, and we were always watching our surroundings because we were kind of afraid of it.
That's a very brave moment. I would say that shows real commitment to getting those water samples. I certainly don't know that I'd go up against an alligator, but really well done, guys. That's a very cool moment.
Anyone else? I'd love to hear your proud moments. I'm sure there are so many, so you guys are probably taking your time and thinking about them. And teachers, if you're on too, if you have any proud moments that you want to share about your students, you're welcome to. Always love to hear from. Oh, Rukhasana?
Our proudest moment we found that water can be treated and local people support. And we also received $3,000 and we gave us place to set us and proud moment for all of us that. Thank you.
Thank you. Tomás?
Yeah, so sorry. Bueno, yo creo que hay dos momentos, bueno, tres momentos, tal vez cuatro momentos principales que uno dice, wow, eso fue muy bacano. Perdón la expresión coloquial ahí. Lo que pasa, pues empezando, cuando uno ya tiene el material, ya tiene como tal la solución, ya tiene el producto, en este caso la crayona, no sé si la pueden ver ahí, esa es la crayona hecha borra de café, uno ya se siente como aliviado, ¿no? Como que ya hizo algo que le permite decir, "Ah, ya estamos ayudando a nuestro planeta, ¿no?" Eso por una parte. Por otra parte, con mis compañeros fuimos a probar las crayolas con los niños de primaria. Y gracias a Dios, pues les gustó mucho, pudieron pintar y demás. Pudimos comprobar que la crayola era funcional, que los niños se divertían con ella y vimos de que realmente ya existía un impacto. Entonces, esos dos puntos fueron como los dos más emocionantes, además de poder estar aquí y además de haber podido compartirlo con más gente, ¿no? Entonces, yo creo que son esos tres, cuatro momentos. Muchas gracias. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Tomás.
That's great. Yeah, really great to hear about how making it real and seeing it in use is a fulfilling moment. That's great.
Awesome. Let's see. Anyone else?
Well, there's for me, there's been a lot of proud moments I've had. Like one of them is being on the news, being on Fox News presenting my project to who knows how many people are watching, but that made me really proud on being able to share my project, which are hopefully would be able to solve many different problems inside of our world. Other proud moments I had was like visiting Hawaii in order to share our project to even more people. And yeah, just those are only some of my proudest moments. There's a lot of them, but yeah.
That's very cool that you've gotten to share the reach of your project and really spread the news about it. And hopefully, just like you guys were inspired, you'll inspire some other teams to think creatively about something like this as well.
I wanted to add on my side, just working again with all the students from Manaus. Just they have these amazing ideas, and then that we can incorporate together the work of both our students. And I'm looking forward to working again with the Enrique and his wonderful students as well.
Yeah, I didn't know if everyone caught on to it, but our team in California and our team in Brazil have had a connection, prior to the challenge. So it's a great opportunity for them to just like show an example of collaboration that can happen globally. And then I think with the challenge, just having that as an amplifier for things that they were already doing, it was a great connection. So yeah, it's awesome to see you all both here again. Anyone else want to share your? Oh yes, Padma, feel free to jump in.
Yeah, I want to first thank you, Ciena, for sponsoring and Digital Promise for offering this great platform. It's such a unifier. Some of the students, there are other teams who participated through ICAM's guidance, and it's life-changing moment for those students to see they can make the difference, especially they come from rural and they don't have many means, but still seeing that they can do something is quite emotional. It's making me emotional. And just to tell you, more positivity is spreading. SSPS school principal is so impressed with this program. He connected us to another school. So next year, they will be joining this competition. So it's more good going around.
That's awesome. That's amazing. I see Thomas clapping. That's great. And yeah, it is definitely an emotional experience when you see how much students can just put in the time and care and attention into something that they really care about happening in their communities, and they want to be the change makers, the folks that make the impact. And so we can learn a lot from them, I think.
Yeah, I'm so hopeful for these kids becoming future our leaders, taking
Absolutely.
care of the planet better than
Absolutely.
us.
I can agree with that.
Thank you.
I see that we have a lot of questions in the chat box, and I'm hoping that we all have time to go through them, because we're actually almost at the end of our time today, which is crazy because the time just goes by so fast. So we're just going to start with, there's one question in the Q&A specifically, I believe this is for the team in Brazil. How effective has, I'm going to butcher this a little bit. How effective has Piscia stratois been in purifying water from Manaus's most polluted igrapes? This is for Team Brazil. If you want to look at the question specifically and read it yourself, it's in the Q&A box.
Okay, we got it. Well, about the effectiveness, well, we made our tests previously, and we will make them again to include even more variables and show even more how effective it is. But even in our first test, in our first series of tests, where we collected water from various igarapés in various points in those igarapés for more polluted spots and less polluted spots, and spots where water flows less. It has been shown relevant in basically all of them, and with varying levels, but it's always very effective and very helpful to the environment, speaking broadly.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. We have a few more questions in the chat box. Let's see if we start at the top. Jess, I didn't know if you saw any more in the Q&A.
Yes, and apologies, y'all. We were trying to keep track with all the questions coming in the chat. They might have come in during presentations, so you're more than welcome to reshare questions that you have for teams. Just make sure you mention this is for Team Brazil or Team Colombia, Team India, so on and so forth, what question you have for them. But I did see that Megan did share a few, so I'm happy to kind of point those out. This one, and apologies if I skip over a few, but I'm gonna share one for Tomas. And Tomas, you've probably seen this, but Megan asked, "This is such a creative use of coffee grounds to reduce waste. Are you planning to grow the project to work with more coffee shops?" And I can also paraphrase for you after in English if that works too. You're welcome to answer in Spanish.
Ok, bueno, empecemos diciendo, pues ya hemos logrado conectar con ciertas tiendas cafeteras. En ese momento trabajamos o nos asociamos con la mayor tienda cafetera aquí en Pitalito, que se llama La Meca. Ellos nos brindan la borra de café, que es uno de los residuos del café, y son los que nos dan como la materia prima de nosotros, ¿no? El oro de nosotros para poder crear todas estas iniciativas. Nosotros con esto, pues, como les decía, creamos la crayola del café, pues ya creamos los moldecitos y demás, y temas así. Y claro que sí, la idea es poder tener un diseño que permita integrar de forma más eficiente todos los residuos que nos brinden todas esas tiendas cafeteras. Que ya no solo sea con la Meca, sino que sea como por ejemplo Juan Valdés, que es una de las tiendas cafeteras aquí en Pitalito, Vos Café, que también es otra de las tiendas, y que podamos integrar y podamos darles una solución viable a todas esas tiendas para que puedan darnos sus residuos, nosotros lo podamos transformar. Y así, en ese proceso, más allá de sacar un producto, poder sacar un proceso educativo en el que el estudiante se vuelve líder y tiene la capacidad de llegar a esos espacios a contar las iniciativas.
Awesome. And Tomás, voy a tratar de repetir lo que hiciste, pero basically what Tomás is saying is that yeah, they have been working. And I did not catch the name of the coffee shop that you chair, but you're welcome to give them a shout out in the chat. They have been working with ¿qué era el nombre otra vez, Tomás? El shop?
La Meca, la Meca,
La
la
Meca.
Meca.
Okay. Sí.
Yeah.
They are working with a coffee shop currently, and the goal is to develop a product that's able to kind of share with others as well. But it seems like he's already taken those steps to get the community involved and get local coffee shops involved to help with the production of his product. Yeah. Great job, Tomas.
Very exciting. Thank you for that question. Jess, do you see?
Yes.
I'm trying
Yeah,
to,
I
there's so
do.
much activity in the
There's
chat
yeah.
box, which is great. It's
We
great,
love
but
that.
it's
We
also
love
hard for
all
us
the
to find
activities.
questions.
Yeah, and right now I am seeing more questions. Uh, okay, yeah. So we have one from one student to another. So Tomas is asking Team Brazil, um, how did you come up with the idea? Was it part of a school project? And that is for Team Brazil. And I think they might have stepped away. I was trying to find their camera.
Yeah, they might have stepped away for a second, or maybe they logged out for 1 second, but
No worries. When they're
okay.
back, I can reshare that. But we do
Oh,
have
here they are.
here. Yes.
Sorry, our internet was down for a second. Did you
That's
use
okay.
Yeah, I can repeat the question. Does that help? Yes, Tomas had a question for y'all. He said it's like a magnificent project, and he would like to know, how did you come up with the idea, and was it part of a school project?
Well, thanks so much, Thomas. Our idea was it was not from any school project, but it was basically from observation. Like when every time we go through the city, we can't not see how polluted the water is in most places. There are very rare exceptions, and something we spotted as a common pattern, as per se, in those exceptions is that there was always wildlife around it and plants. So we got the idea of finding something biological to solve it. And the specific idea of the water lettuce comes from Nina's sister. She is
We tried other phytoremediation plants like lamina minor, but studying the types of the plants, we saw that the water lettuce is more she's bigger than her her size, and she's more effective. Like laminator is smaller than a rice grain.
Yeah, and basically, Amazonas, especially Manaus, is a city that is basically surrounded by water. So most of the logistics around here is based on our rivers and our waterways, you know. So basically, not only Manaus commercial logistic, but many communities around here. There are many communities, not only native people along Brazil's history, they then are basically dependent on, for example, fishes and some other nutrients from the water to, for example, grow their agriculture.
Thanks so much. That's a very interesting project. I tried to investigate about that, about the plants and something like that. And I read, and this is was so impressive. I can't speak all I want to say in English, but this is so good project. Thanks so much.
Your project is so good too, Tomas.
Yeah, we were also blown away by the idea and the execution. It was great,
especially when you do it alone. You know, it's something that is so cool to see.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, this is awesome. Any more questions or responses from the other teams? I want to make sure that everybody's been represented.
I know we're going to be close to wrapping up, but I did want to also point out we have another question for Team India. This is also for Meg. Meg says that she is happy to see you and your team working to reduce exposure to water pollution. The question is, what did you learn about what is causing the water pollution in the lake? And this is for our team in India.
Can I answer that question?
Yeah, sure thing.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, this is Sudham here, principal from the Sharada Public School, Anigiri. Yeah. Thank you so much for hosting this event. The most of the time, what we have seen, the lake water is getting polluted by the mishandling. People hardly they take care of this lake, and also people just release the sewage water and then plastic waste, and even from farmland, the pesticide contaminated, the water also gets mixed up with this lake. It takes a lot of time, and Anigiri area, which contains a lot of groundwater, which contains heavy fluoride and a lot of minerals. Even when we check, the TDS is about more than 1800, which is not safe to drink that water. And later, when we tested this water, a lot of biological contamination was also we found. And one solution, what we found that RO system, the reverse osmosis system, that filter system would be better. And children who have approached this villagers and also the primary health clinic in the local area, and where we have seen a lot of waterborne diseases like diarrhea and typhoid frequently occurring in the community. And also a lot of schools, when we visited, there are also a lot of children remain absent for the schools. And this idea brought the solution where children have introduced the water filter system. And soon we will be installing this water filter system, a couple of water filter system in Andigiri, and that's going to be a proud moment for all of us. And the best moment is that the local community is also joining, and they've already allotted place for us and electricity to run this water filter system. And that's going to be one of the best moment for all of us.
That's great. Thank you so much, and thank you so much for joining this call today. We really appreciate your being here. And students, we're actually at time. We are 1 minute over. I wish we could stay a little bit longer, but I do want to respect everyone's time here today. This is for the students. Thank you so much for your hard work. You put your best effort forward, and we are really excited to see all of the great work that you all put forth in the next iteration of your project. Maybe you're coming up with something new next year. So thank you, and we can't wait to see what you all are able to do next year. Just really quickly, Jess is going to just talk very briefly about the community awards, and then we'll close out.
Yes, thanks, Carissa. And again, sorry, y'all. We always hate to wrap up these conversations, especially when they're so rich. But again, just want to echo our gratitude and obviously our congratulations to all our teams who presented today. We're coming up on the weekend. I hope y'all actually take time to celebrate because everyone did such an amazing job today with their presentation. So I'll try to keep this brief. If you can just stick with us for one more minute. We do have another opportunity for students to get recognized for their work, and that's with our YouthMADE Community Awards. So our Community Awards, we do these every year where we invite teachers, families, peers, and people in your community to recognize those who presented during the YouthMADE Festival. So that includes everyone here. Carissa is going to share the link to that form in the chat where you can nominate a student for a community award, and you're able to kind of fill up some words of encouragement, kudos, praises. And just a heads up, you have until May 19th to fill out this form. We'll also be sending the recording of this presentation. That way, you're welcome to share this to those who weren't able to attend, but they still want to support you and give you kudos. So feel free to share that with your community members, your family, your peers, your friends. That way, they're able to nominate students for these awards. And lastly, the conversations, as I mentioned, is still going. We want to continue them on social media. So we would love to keep hearing from y'all on if you use Facebook, Instagram, you're welcome to use the hashtag Ciena Challenge and hashtag YouthMADE. Please also follow us on Instagram as well at YouthMADE Festival. We will be sharing highlights as well as things that we'll be doing all year long. We love to share stories all year long. It's not just during the YouthMADE Festival. So if you're able to go to YouthMADE Festival on Instagram, give us a follow, tag us on stuff. We'd love to share it as well, share pictures too, keep the conversations going. And as always, follow us on youthmade.org. That way you're up to date with all our stories. And we will also be publishing our community awards on youthmade.org as well. Sorry, I apologize. That was really quick and brief, but we are at time. Again, thank y'all so much again. I know we're all joining at different time zones, so I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their day or their night, and we'll see you hopefully soon in our next festival or next event. Thank y'all so much.